Hi, and welcome to Studio SN. My name is Sara Naumann, and today we're going to play with the Distress Marker Spritzer. Ranger's Distress Marker Spritzer is a really fun tool for creating very different background effects, and it's also a tool that works really nicely with stencils. So you can see on the front of my card, these 4 feathers have been stenciled using the Distress Marker Spritzer and 3 different colors of distress pens. Super easy technique to do and a great way to make double use of your markers as well as your stencils. So let's take a look. The first thing that you're going to need, of course, is a stencil. And this one is from the Crafter's Workshop. This is the Fancy Feathers. And this is from designer Rhonda Palazzari. And I love this stencil because you've got lots of different designs on here. You can use it as one unit. You can mask off to use certain feathers or groupings of feathers. You can also, of course, turn it around and use it if you have some of the feathers pointing in different directions, for example. So for this card, I wanted to get these 4 feathers up here at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down onto my white matte cardstock, and I'm just going to align the edge of the stencil with the edge of the cardstock. Now I want these 4 feathers. I don't want these 4 feathers, so I'm going to need to mask off these ones over here. And for that, I'm just going to use some Post-it notes. So I'm going to go ahead and tack those down. And this is going to mask off those extra feathers and also the edges of my paper too. So just to make sure I don't get any wayward spritzing on there, to be careful of that. And one last one here. And then you'll notice I've got 3 feather stems on here. I need to mask those off as well. So I'm just going to use washi tape. You can use stencil tape or masking tape, whatever you happen to have on hand. And go ahead and tack that down. And this is also helping to hold the stencil onto my cardstock. Oops, and get that one down on here. So I'm all masked off and ready to go. So I just have the 4 on here that I want. Then I can go ahead and get my spritzer ready. So I'm going to slide this out of the way and show you the spritzer. So this is a handheld spritzer tool. So when I squeeze this barrel, the air is going to come through here and out through this nozzle. So this is where the air is coming from. This is where you're squeezing. And this barrel is where your pen will go. And then there's also a knob here on the side for you to tighten to hold your pen in place. Now the 3 pens that I'm working with are all distress markers. So I've got picked raspberry, I've broken china, and I've squeezed lemonade. This tool does work with other pens like your Copics and your Sharpies, and there are instructions on the package for adjusting this barrel so that you can use your other pens as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the broken china. Now one thing to note on these pens, you have a brush tip on one end and you have a fine tip on the other end. For this you need to use the brush tip. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the cap off and insert this through the barrel. Now when you do this, you want to make sure that you've got the tip in the proper position. So you don't want it like this. That's not going to give enough of the pen tip for the air to catch. And you don't want it to come too far out past that tip. Again, it won't be able to catch any of that color. So right in here is going to be about right. And then go ahead and just tighten that up. And you're ready to go. You'll be squeezing this knob here. Now, the closer you are to your paper when you're squeezing, the more color or the more intense color you will have. So just keep that in mind as you're spritzing. Sometimes I like to use 2 hands. And if you have wrist problems or hand problems, or your wrists you find just get a little bit tired, just go ahead and rest. You don't need to work with a particular speed for this. So I'm kind of concentrating my color here on this second feather. Normally I would do them all at the same time, but I think in the interest of time you're getting the effect here. So I'll go ahead and remove this pen. Now you can either let that dry in between, or you can just come back while it's still wet, which is what I'm going to do. And come back in with the picked raspberry this time. Again, tighten that in there. And then go ahead and add your color. So you can also play with sort of the direction that you're holding your spritzer in to get a more concentrated blast on there. Okay, so once again, just continuing to press that bulb so the air comes out. So I've got my picked raspberry. Then I'm going to come back with my squeezed lemonade, and again, go ahead and just insert this into the spritzer, tighten that up. I love the squeezed lemonade because that yellow just adds such a pretty glow, a pretty yellow glow to the overall effect. So, okay, I've got my one feather colored, and of course I would go ahead and do them all at the same time, but just in the interest of time, I think you're getting the technique. It's quite easy to do. So then what I'm going to do is just remove all of my masking on here, and then you can rinse off your stencil with some water, and you'll see my one feather and part of my other feathers here too. But I think you get the effect of how easy it is. So let me go ahead and bring in my original card again, and you can see with all four of them colored how pretty that looks. Now with this one, I happen to use a little bit more of the blue and the purple. So I wanted to show you also another effect that I did using the same three colors. This is much more of the yellow and blue, so it gives some green areas in there too. Working with while the pen is still wet, it does allow them to blend a little bit together. So here you can see I've got a lot more greenish effect, and here it's darker, more purples and pinks. So two very different effects. This was actually my original that I was going to use for this segment, but I finished by stamping and the stamp didn't come out perfectly. So I couldn't use it, but I did want you to see the effect of this overall. So once again, I'll show you the original card. Just mounted this up onto purple cardstock. I've got some pattern paper here from Hot Off the Press. That's from their Gypsy Jewels collection. A little bit of baker's twine here, and then some brads just to finish it off. Really simple a design to do. And of course, you could do some stamping on top of that as well. So this is how you can use the Distress Marker Spritzer with your stencils for some unique card making focals. I hope you enjoyed today's show. For more ideas and inspiration, please stop by my website at saranaumann.com. If you enjoyed today's video, please subscribe to Studio SN on YouTube, and I'll keep you updated with a new video every Wednesday. Thank you for joining me on Studio SN, and I'll see you again next time.